Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander. I'm here to host our show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Today, we have my co-host, Kelly Walters here. Are you there, Kelly?
Yeah, hi.
Now, we have also our guest here who is going to be our chakra guinea pig, so to speak. Her name is Holly Tremont. Now, I want you to kind of explain what it is that you are, because it says here that you're a crystal child. I've never ran into or talked to a crystal child. What is a crystal child, and what are they? How would somebody identify one if they were, because they're a crowd, say?
Yeah, so this is still a new subject to me. I just kind of came across I've heard of the term throughout the years, and I just kind of started looking into it recently and realized that it's pretty close to myself. And in fact, I feel like I kind of tick off all of the things that how they describe a crystal child. So basically, a crystal child is very similar to an indigo child. And an indigo child, I think that's a term that is a little more well-known right now in the kind of the spiritual community. Indigo that term has been used a little bit more than the crystal child term and the rainbow child, because these are the crystal child, and the rainbow child is like a newer generation of souls, and the indigos have been around since, I want to say, I think the time frame that they started being incarnated on Earth is the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So I guess you would say that those are more like your people who were maybe considered hippies, or people who were just against a lot of the traditional societal structures that they had at the time and still have. So the indigos were first, kind of like the first wave of souls who were more aware of things that were not quite right in the daily society structure. And the crystal children were the following generation, and they are similar to the indigos. They have some things that overlap, and they also have different traits. So the indigos, let's say an indigo, you might recognize an indigo by now if you were psychic at all, you would see that they have an indigo hue in their aura, and that's actually where the name came from. And so indigos, they tend to have more of kind of like a warrior spirit, and I'm kind of gathering this from my own personal experience and figuring out a couple people that I know are indigos, and then also from reading. So from what I understand, they more have like a warrior spirit. They're very rebellious, and especially in their childhood, they tend to not listen to their parents. They're extremely rebellious. They can be kind of abrasive. They don't have as a welcoming personality. That's not to say that they're mean, but they're just not super open sometimes to people. Sometimes they can be more closed off. So that would trigger, somebody to think that, oh, this might be a crystal child. The fact that they're rebellious, they're very kind of anti-structure, and but they're also very spiritually aware. They're more connected to themselves.
Do you think that there's any famous people out there right now that you would say are crystal children?
Oh, absolutely. So the crystal children, and I would say that there's probably a lot more crystal children who are famous, might be celebrities, and here's why. The crystal children tend to be more charismatic in conversation and in social settings. They're just very bubbly people, and a lot of times they're just very theatrical. They're very, very creative, and that creativity comes through, a lot of times it comes through drama, and I don't mean like bad drama, like they like to act, so they're very theatrical. They tend to sing, sometimes they dance, and so they're very musical as well, and that's
you make it sound like
pretty
Justin
much
Bieber is a crystal kid.
What's that?
You make it sound like Justin Bieber is a crystal kid.
I'm not saying it's totally not true, but I think the biggest indicator of whether or not somebody is a crystal child, number one, as if they are very philosophical as a child. They're just very they question everything. They have more of an understanding of the universe from a very young age. It seems like they're, older than they really are. We commonly get the old soul label, but we are curious about life, and we have a compassion towards other people and all beings, just because we have a spiritual understanding that we all come from the same source, and that's
right.
And that's the truth. And no matter what the society tells you, we know that to be true because we have an unknowing and understanding of that truth.
Well, the reason I asked for an example of a celebrity is because the celebrity is something that everybody sees constantly. I mean, like, for instance, would you say, like, say the Kardashians, Miley Cyrus? I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, am I naming an example of a crystal child, or what would be an example of a celebrity who's a crystal child? Do you know? Can you name one?
That is a great question. I'm going to have to think about that one. Yeah, off the top of my head, I cannot think of anybody. It might come to me later. But like I said, just because somebody is is either famous because they're a singer, dancer, an actor, like they're very entertaining, that is one trait commonly occurs in crystal children, just because of their lively, bright personalities and creative personalities, rather. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're a crystal child. It really comes down to being an old soul and knowing the fundamental truths of the universe and feeling a purpose that they came here to help humanity remember who they really are. And that was one thing that I knew set me apart from everybody else when I was a child, was that I knew that something was off. When I was in school, I felt different from everybody, not necessarily in a better way. I just felt like I was there for a purpose, and I knew it, and everybody else kind of didn't have that same feeling of purpose.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Right.
Okay,
well, now I'll tell you what.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions, Kelly, or do you want to get started on the chakras?
Any questions?
Okay.
Yeah, like, I know some people that they do have, like, the old soul type thing where they're very philosophical, they're very creative, they're kind of hippie-like, but they go into things like shamanism, and that's super important, where, they're developing their souls and things like that. They're not necessarily hanging on to, materialism and things like that. They tend to be more in tune with nature than a lot of people, and things like that. Like, the creative, the drama, but not drama, and not drama for drama's sake. Like, they don't try to, attract drama. It's just they are very good at projecting their emotions. And, they can goof around, but, they can also be very serious because of the philosophical pursuits. Like, there's one of my friends that I have in mind that fits this, like, totally. And I would go to him for spiritual advice, and I am older, like, chronologically, but it doesn't matter in that, friendship, because
do I know this person, Kelly? Kelly?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Do I know this person?
We were going to have him on the show at one point, and then he declined. He was going on his own path.
I think I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, but yeah,
he's
like the one example of a crystal child. He didn't want to have have it seem like it was promoting. you know. And
okay.
you know,
Well,
yeah.
Well, are you ready to get your chakras done, Holly?
Sure. Did
Okay.
you have any
All
last
right, Kelly.
questions?
I think we'll come up with some later on. Because I think that it'll be interesting to see what happens but I read some things about what happens with an aura with a crystal child. So it'll be interesting to see. I'd like to see what happens when she cleans your chakras. So let's see what happens. You ready, Kelly? Or
are you reclined in a place that you can relax?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now you had mentioned earlier about like indigos tend to have blue in their auras. Does that mean like rainbows tend to have different colors?
So, from what I understand, each different soul or child, whether it's an indigo, crystal, or a rainbow, they do also have unique aura colors based on their personality and kind of just their energy presence. And that's where, like I said, the indigo comes from, is that they have more of like a darker, cool color, indigo hue to their aura. Now, the crystal children typically have more opalescent colors.
Would that be true?
I actually have never been able to have somebody tell me what color my aura is. So that is one thing that I have yet to figure out.
Oh, okay. Well, I know for myself, I have blues and I have white. Like, white is predominant, but I have some blues. And, yeah, so it's kind of like I'm not really sure which one I am. I mean, I was born in 1974, but, you know, sometimes chronological age doesn't necessarily fall into, you know, certain categories. So I'm not sure what I'm on. But I think based on that description, I might be something in between, but I'm not sure. But I'm going to explain what I do with the chakra clearing. And it's not like a magic thing. But what it is that we all have 7 major chakras, and they go from where we sit, which is the root chakra, which helps ground us and get us involved in earth.
You might want to close your eyes. You might want to have your eyes closed.
Yep.
And basically, I have a pendulum that I use that is a gemstone, but it could really be anything. And when they focus on your face, because I got your picture, and they focus on where the chakra is, it will either go around in a circle, and that tells me how healthy and open it is, or it'll go back and forth or side to side, which means that it's either blocked or it has negative energy. And so thank you for providing your picture, Holly. And, so this is how I do it. Now, other people might be able to do it in different ways, but this is how I found that I can access it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub my hands vigorously. You can either do that with me or not. It's not going to affect how well it helps you. But it's just a little practice that I do so that I can get the energy flowing toward my hands. But I'm rubbing them vigorously. I can start to feel them kind of tingle a bit more. Then I bring them out about shoulder width and start bringing them closer and closer and closer, slightly cupping my hands until I start to feel resistance about 5 to 6 inches away from each other. And that's forming an energy ball. So I don't know, that's something you can do if you meditate or you're empathic or you have some other abilities, then it'll be easier for you than maybe somebody that's never practiced. But that's what I'm doing. And now I'm picking up the pendulum and I'm sweeping my fingers down and sweeping any residual energy into the ground and clearing it. And I'm focusing on your face. And this first chakra is the root chakra. That is our most primal and important energy center. It's our instinct for survival and safety. And it's basically located where you'd be sitting, like at the base of your spine and kind of the feet area. And let's see what it feels. Okay, we're doing a small, tight circle. I'm waiting to see if it shifts. And, okay, now it's side to side. So that's definitely something that we need to address. And I'm putting that down. Now, I hope you guys aren't hearing that. My fiance is sneezing in, like, the other end of the house. Anyway, I'm going to reach in there and see what I find. But basically, if your root chakra is off, that means that, there might be something to do with maybe you're not in the best living situation, or you might have something that's stuck in there from a past experience. Let's see what we can. I was feeling unsettled kind of a little bit, and I'm not really sure why, but I'm feeling like job and living situation, like relationship, either in the past or something that you're going through right now with someone. It doesn't necessarily mean like a love interest, but just that there's a potential for a lot of good to be there, but I don't know if communication sometimes is a little different. Is any of that making sense?
Definitely past relationships makes sense.
Okay, yeah, because I'm feeling like you're getting free from it. It's just, I feel like you guys weren't on the same wavelength, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yeah, okay. And it wasn't, like, hurtful. I just feel like it was frustrating at times trying to communicate and understand things, because it feels like what was important to one person didn't feel like it was to the other, and it was hard to understand each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, just coming from life with two different perspectives, and sometimes we can meet in the middle and sometimes we just can't, because, our styles are different, the way we see things and perceive it, our values are different. Sometimes we're in a relationship like that, and it's not anybody's fault. It's not anything wrong with anybody. It's just, two people that are great people, just not necessarily for each other.
Right.
Okay. That's good, though. Let's see what I can do. I'm reaching in and I'm giving healing energy, because I don't feel anything really bad that needs to be pulled out. It's just, possibly a little bit blocked, a little stagnant energy kind of in there, but there, okay. Are you feeling anything like strange or different while this is going on?
Not at this very second.
Was it like at the beginning?
Somewhat at the beginning. I felt something shifting. So maybe it was starting to open up or something.
Oh, that could be. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, some people feel things differently. Like some people feel it feels like little bubbles or gas or tingly or, it's just, different for everybody. So, and being that there wasn't really anything negative in there, I don't think it would be like a rubber band that kind of snaps back, if that makes sense. I don't think that you would feel anything, trying to hang on.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see where we are with that. Let me check with it. Oh, okay. There we go. Now, yeah, okay. Now it's making a big sweeping circle, which is great. And what's cool about it, too, is this being the root, it's the first one, and it's kind of where all the other ones build from.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, they get stuck, like, in their ascension to getting to more spiritual. They will get stuck usually somewhere in the first through third, because as we get closer to Source, the universe, that's when our crown chakra opens up in number 17. But some people, it's difficult to get there because they get hung up on the meaning. So since that one's okay, let's move on to the sacral. That's the second one, and that's the emotional body, sensuality, and creativity. And I'm going to guess that yours is doing pretty well, for the fact that you are a crystal child, and, that crystal children tend to be very creative. But if there is a block, it can kind of affect those areas. Let's see what we've got. Hey, that one's doing pretty good. Yeah, good. Yeah, that's a big, fast circle. It's not doing what I call helicoptering, but it's very close. Like helicoptering to me is like if it was going totally horizontal, doing a circle. And then sometimes they go too fast, it's hard to hang on to it. But it's really close. So that one's doing quite well. Yeah. The next one is the solar plexus, and that one's located, I never told you where the sacral was located. That one's between the bikini line and the belly button, the one that we just did. The solar plexus is the next one. It's the third one, and that's between your belly button and, like, the bottom of your rib cage. And that one is your center for personal power and self-esteem, warrior energy, like you were talking about earlier, and power of transformation. Let's see how that one's doing. Yeah, this one's doing just as well as the sacral, so that's pretty cool. Maybe a little bit bigger in the circle. So that's a good sign. The fourth one is the heart chakra, and that's the opening of feelings, compassion, the capacity to love, and it doesn't like conflict. Let's see where we are with that. Okay, this one is doing a good circle. It's just not as big as the other one. And I'm feeling like that is related to the past relationship and maybe some, maybe that's kind of making you kind of feel once bitten, twice shy.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I'm feeling like the heart one, even though it's doing well, I feel like it's still being affected by the past relationship. Like, when we have something that didn't work with someone that we care about a lot, even if it wasn't any fault of anyone, it makes us a little bit shyer to want to open up to someone again because you're afraid you're going to have to go through that again. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to work on that one a little bit to try to get that one to open more, because, you know, when we have something like that happen, there's a period of time, you know, for healing and things like that, which is totally fine, not looking and all that. But, you know, you just want to make sure that it doesn't remain guarded, because then sometimes it can hurt us from finding that person that that we're meant to be with if we're afraid to. So let's see what I can do with that. Oh my gosh, you have beautiful heart energy. You have a very beautiful heart. Wow. Yeah, very few people have I run into that it's just wow. Yeah, this is nice. There. Hopefully, you'll start feeling a lightness there. Let's see what this reads. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is definitely doing a lot better. It's doing that helicoptering thing I was telling you about.
Good.
Wow. Yeah, it's going around so fast I can't even see it. It's like a blur. So, good. Yay, we got that one. Yeah, the next one's the throat chakra, and that's our ability to manifest and express your truth in the world. So, let's see. Okay, this one is making a decent circle. It could be bigger, but I'm feeling like it's just a little hesitant, but I think it's because you're still learning what your truth is in the world. You're still learning about yourself and what crystal children are. You're still trying things to see what fits. I feel like you're still trying to decide, things that aren't useful for you anymore. Yeah, outdated modes of thinking, things that don't quite feel like they fit, things like that. And once you do get yourself settled into feeling like you know who you are, you know who you're not, it's going to be easier to attract other people that are like you and feel like you fit. But I feel like you've had a little bit of a struggle trying to figure out where you fit or who you fit with, or sometimes you even feel like, is there anybody out there like me?
At times, yeah, when I was younger.
What's that?
I said when I was younger, definitely.
Yeah, when you were younger, I feel like there was this, you didn't want to conform to fit in, but yet you kind of wanted to, because then you'd feel like you had your own tribe. There was kind of like that inner thing of you wanted to be your own individual self, and you're struggling with, if I am fully myself, are other people going to like me or understand me? And, I feel like now you've already done a lot of transforming, and, you're gaining this big picture and where you fit. So things are going a lot better for you, and they're going to continue going in a lot better direction as you gain more knowledge, gain more confidence in who you are and where you belong and what your mission is. Because I feel like you have a fire under you right now. I kind of feel like to, find this, because you do feel like you belong with people that are crystal children, and you're trying to find, I think that your purpose is very entwined with that because you're here to help teach other people.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, good. Let me check and see how that one's doing now. Oh, okay, yep. Now it's helicoptering, so that's a good sign.
Good.
And so the next one that we're going to do is the third eye, and that one's right between the eyebrows and up a little bit. That's our intuition, recognizing patterns of learning, and our memory skill set. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, this is definitely helicoptering. So I feel like you don't have any issue in this area. You're really perceptive. You're able to trust your intuition, and that would be like your best guide. Now, your crown chakra is your seventh one, and that's the access to the higher states of consciousness and being open to what is beyond our understanding. It's being connected to source, it's the universe, it's kind of like this vibrational energy web that we're all a part of, and things like that, being able to communicate without saying anything, being able to do things like the energy work or healing work over distance, because with that, distance doesn't matter because we're all connected. So let's see how that is. There. This one isn't quite helicoptering, but it's doing a really good circle. So I know there's room to grow in this area. And I feel like as you're on your journey, you're going to have this become stronger and stronger. And then it'll be easier for you to be able to translate your intuition into like a very, how do I want to say it? Like a very honed skill. Like to be able to just go with it instead of like second guessing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go back through them really quickly and make sure that, you know, something didn't hop from one to another. Sometimes it does that, but I'm really thinking it's probably not because you didn't have any negative energy. So, you know, it's not going to go somewhere else trying to hide.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Checking the root. Yeah, this one is definitely doing well. Yeah, that one still has some room for improvement before it's helicoptering, but I think you're on the right track and you know how to do that. The sacral, and that one is doing okay. There we go. Now it's starting to helicopter. It was a little hesitant. Yeah, and I think that's tied in with the emotional self. And once you kind of cleanse yourself and have like healing distance between yourself and that past relationship, I think then it's going to start feeling more healing and have less, you know, yeah, it'll be something you can acknowledge but not feel pain from or loss. Plexus. Okay, this one's doing really well. So that's good. Yeah, that one's really good. And the heart. Oh, wow. Yeah, this one is, like, super strong right now. This one is, like, I couldn't see. It was, like, all blurry, and it was hard to hang on to. So that one's doing really well. And the throat one. Okay, this one's doing really well. Yeah. That's telling me as you're learning things, don't feel like you have to be a perfectionist and know exactly where you're going, exactly what you're doing, exactly who you are. But, just get out there and talk with people. Do things like this. Maybe do a blog, do some writing, do something to get yourself out there and express this, because you're going to help other people to come to their realization, be able to help them on their journey. Maybe you can help each other. So I think that's really important. But don't feel like you have to be in a certain place to start. So there's always going to be people that are behind you, not to say that, there's a finish line, anything like that, because there's everybody's own personal journey. But there's going to be some people that are just starting out, and they have no idea what to do.
Right.
So, third eye. Oh, yeah, this one is definitely doing really well. And the crown one. Yeah, that one's doing really well now. Wow, that one's super. So do you feel any different?
I do, actually. Yeah, it's very slight, and I'm not usually super sensitive to different energies like that. But yeah, I do feel different.
Is it a good?
No, I have a question.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Good.
I have a question. Have you had any chance to think about my question earlier about celebrities that are crystal children?
Celebrities that are crystal children. I am still racking my brain on that one. I'm trying to think. If there's any crystal children, I'm pretty sure that they would. You would know that they're a crystal child because of the way that they became famous. I would say probably somebody like, oh gosh, I can't remember her name at this time, but she's not like an actress or a singer, but she, for example, she was, I want to say that she was in a protest or something, and she was shot in the face, but she's very young, and I'm trying to think of her name. I want to say it starts with an M. But she's become very famous because she's so young, and she's kind of like a young Gandhi. But somebody like that who displays very old soul characteristics.
I mean, let me ask you this: would there be any crystal children, say, in the olden days? Like, for instance, if I had to guess, I would say Shirley Temple might be one, or Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it sounds like I'm guessing at the top of my hat, but I mean, I've seen kids that have a certain kind of they're very good at getting attention, but they're not on purpose. They just have this stuff like for example, my nephew Dan, he's on the autistic spectrum, and he lost a tooth, and my sister was going to explain to him. He goes, okay, here's what you do. You put your tooth under the pillow, and the tooth fairy will come in and take the tooth and leave you $1. Well, he was completely freaking out about the idea of a complete stranger going in his room. He thought that was a complete violation of his privacy. And so they had to leave the tooth in the mailbox. But in a way, what he's thinking makes sense. This is that's how we look at it. We don't look at it like that. And he will, if you see him walk around, Van will walk around in his underwear, and then he'll have his iPad right in front of him, and he'll be staring at the iPad, and it'll be like SpongeBob, Sesame Street on there. And he was so out of things that Trump had been president for 6 months. And I asked him who the president was, and he said Obama. It's sort of like, regardless of what you think of Trump, I mean, I think that, if I ask you who the president is, you really should say Trump. you know.
Right.
But
Yeah, that's
I mean,
strange.
Kelly, what?
I said that's unusual. That's strange.
Yeah. I don't know
Now,
if that would
is
be
there
a
anybody in
Christmas
your
holiday.
family, Kelly, that you think might be a crystal child?
It's a little hard to tell. My cousin's daughter and son, I think, might be very well. And let's see. Jared's daughter might be, but I'm not entirely sure yet. Because there are times where I have to stop and think, oh, wow, she has a good point. And then there's other times where it's like, yeah, she's 11. You know? So I don't know yet. I guess that's gonna kind of freak out and.
Little S, that's the name. That's the name that we use for Jared's daughter. Whenever we talk about her on the air, you know, was also very psychic. And do crystal children love to draw?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're very, very creative. Anything from drawing to painting to other forms of artistic expression. So theater, but definitely arts. You know, drawing and painting and things like that.
Okay, so they would be the kind of person to like draw a sign or something. Okay. Anything else to add, Kelly?
Well, you know, kind of along those lines. I don't want to say dramatic, but maybe theatrical in a way. Very expressive, I guess, is a better way of putting it to terminology. Like, she definitely gets attention, but I don't think it's always intentional. You know, it's she can verbalize very well. She can use body language very well to get points across. She just has that way of honing in on people and knowing when somebody's sad, even if they don't say anything, and trying to cheer them up. And, you know, definitely can be the class clown when it comes to that. Because, you know, it's important for her to have balance and, you know, for people to be happy. And I know she definitely
not just that, but I mean, there was the time we had her on, and the psychic was talking to her thing, and there's also the thing involving your dad, and then immediately, without thinking, you know, she immediately went, Dad, you know, she went looking for her dad. I mean,
yeah. And she's very musically inclined, very talented and creative with drawing and artwork and putting together things. Like, she puts together these huge Lego things. And, I mean, this thing was an actual book that came with it. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that without feeling, like, under pressure or whatever. And she just puts it together like it's nothing.
Yeah, I used to love playing with Legos as a kid, just building anything, creating things just for fun. A couple other things that I did forget that, like, are traits of a crystal child. One for sure that is pretty recognizable if you were to just kind of look in a crowd is somebody with very large eyes, very, like, attractive large eyes with an intense stare. A lot of people say that when, you know, the crystal children look at them, they feel like they can look straight through them into their soul. And so that's one thing that is common among crystals for whatever reason. I'm not entirely sure, but that's one easy trait that you can recognize. And like I said, they're a younger generation. So I was born in 1995, and according to multiple sources, 1995 and around that year is when the first wave of crystal children started being born. So that was ironically the year I was born as well. And crystal children are also very, very forgiving. They're very sweet and loving towards other people. And that extends to animals as well. So they sometimes they end up choosing to be vegetarian or vegan. I myself ended up changing my diet and becoming vegan 4 years ago. And I do want to mention that I wasn't vegan my whole life. And so with that being said, crystal children are very empathic. And so they tend to be influenced by other people, especially, by other people's energies, but also, like we were talking about earlier, their want to get along with everybody and to kind of fit in if they're young and very open and not strong-willed yet. And I'm speaking from my own experience from when I was young. I grew up with 2 older sisters, and so I was always looking to fit in, and I never felt like I was strong enough to be my own person as a young child. So I kind of took on other people's characteristics just to kind of feel closer to people. And so there were traits that I picked up that weren't necessarily who I really was. And so, for people who were crystal children and who might be listening or, trying to figure out whether, their kid is a crystal child or if they themselves are a crystal child, some of these traits may not apply obviously because, we as crystal children, we're very susceptible to, like I said, developing
what about
characteristics.
Michael Jackson? Would he be a crystal kid or would he be born?
That is probably a very good example. If anything, he was an early crystal child. I would say he is probably that's a good example. I think he may be. And now he was, and I'm not sure when he was born, but definitely older than me. But according to some sources, there have been some crystal children that have been born much earlier than the ones that are being born now or have been born, say starting in the 90s. They're more rare. So those children may have been even.
Okay, what about Elvis Presley? What about him?
Elvis, I just intuitively, trying to feel this through, I would say Elvis may not have been. But Michael Jackson, just from what I understand, from some of the interviews with him that I've listened to, and just the way that he talks about, creativity and how, how he goes about things, it sounds like he's very spiritually aware. And from what I understand, he was a peacemaker, and I don't remember ever, him ever being, violent or have any kind of negative bone in his body.
He was also sort of a Peter Pan, Peter Pan. Remember, the name of his ranch was Never Neverland, and he was Never Neverland was the name of the ranch, and I mean, he really didn't like the idea of just getting older, Yeah, that's a great point, and I definitely think that he would be somewhere in the category, if not, one of the older crystal children, one of the more rare that were born, earlier on, because they also, don't like some of the rules that society has put on adults. Once you reach a certain age, you have to act like an adult. You can't, be this way, and you have to think this way. I'm going to give you another name. Angelina Jolie. That seems to be one that seems like we classify as an older crystal child, Angelina Jolie, because, the way that she raises her kids has been said to be a little bit odd. Like they all share the same bed, and wanting to have, I don't know, just I mean, I don't want to say it's wrong. I'm just saying that Angelina Jolie's style of raising kids is a little strange. Don't you agree?
I can't say I know her. Obviously, I don't know her personally, but from what I understand, I wouldn't automatically assume that she is a crystal child, number one, because of her age, besides the fact that, Michael Jackson may be one of those rare cases who, was born more of the time around the indigos. But I always go back to that the one key trait that crystal children have is that overwhelming sense of purpose, that, they're here to bring humanity back together and to help remind them of who they really are. It's more of a spiritual purpose, and every
Gary
crystal
Coleman.
child. I don't know. I can't say, but it doesn't scream to me.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that
Macaulay
one
Culkin.
No,
I don't know. He got into drugs and all that when he was older. I don't think that's a crystal children trait unless it's running away from it, being too sensitive or something, for me, when you were saying that about taking on the traits of personalities of people around,
mm-hmm.
I used to be called my parents didn't really have anything official to label it. They said that I had a chameleon personality. I would take on the personality of the people that were around me. And I noticed that Jared's daughter does that. She'll act totally different around, her friends than she does when she's at her mom's or when she's over with us. Yeah. And, it's like these are all different facets of her, but some of it I don't think really fits, and she's trying to explore and see what does. But, for me, I might be one of those early ones because, it got to the point where in kindergarten there was this special ed kid across the street, and I had gone to a really good preschool. I knew how to, I knew the alphabet. I knew how to spell words. I knew how to make sentences. I knew how to tie my shoes. But when I went to school, I was bored. So I took on the personality of the kid that lived across the street that was in special ed, and they thought I was. And I walked like him. I talked like him. I was bored and I didn't want to, tie my shoes and do the alphabet because I could do it upside down and backwards, So I was like, why do I want to do this? This is stupid. So, I ended up going to a different school because my parents moved to a better school district, and they were like, oh my gosh, you should be in second grade reading or fourth grade this, and my parents didn't let them bump me up like they wanted to, but what it did was it put me in with different kids, so I started acting that way, and I didn't really know where I fit, and I could definitely tell when other people are upset or angry or whatever, and I was always the kid getting picked on, and to the point where I was bullied terribly until I just finally had enough of it, and then I was still bullied, but at least I stood up for myself, a few times, but I really don't like conflict. And I was very good in art and music and making jewelry and just a huge amount of creative outlet and writing and so it took me until I was in my 40s to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up, because anytime I went to college or whatever, took those things, they're basically you can do whatever you want. Oh, well, that really narrows it down. So,
right.
I was the jack of all trades, but the master of almost none. So,
yeah.
And I felt like I had this higher purpose, this rat race to get to the top of the ladder and make all this money really didn't make any sense to me,
Right.
It didn't make sense. Why do we have to follow that? I mean, that's material things aren't that important. I'm, wanting to do things to help humanity, help the planet, help animals. So I think I might be one of the early ones.
I think you might be too.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I have rescued so many exotic animals, and and I feel so close with them. Sometimes it's hard to relate to people because,
Exactly.
you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, and that is the traits of a crystal child, is to be really close to nature and animals. So yeah, that fits right in.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, that could be why little Alex and I are really, you know, understanding of one another, and why we can have this bond that, you know, other people don't really understand. You know, why, you know, she'll confide in me things that she does in other people, but I think it's because we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. I just learned some new stuff today. Woo!
Right.
That's
awesome.
I was like, always learning. Yeah. The day I stop learning is the day I die, because I'm always learning.
Holly, I mean, how many times in your life have you talked to a psychic? Do you talk to a lot of them, or?
No, I haven't. I've only, you know, come across a handful of people who, you know, considered themselves psychics. I just recently, you know, started surrounding myself with people who are more interested in the paranormal and who are spiritual and everything. Just because I wasn't surrounded by people like that when I was younger, and I knew that there were people out there like me, but I just never, for whatever reason, reached out to them or tried to find them. But when I started to, I realized there was a lot of people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, it's on the 13th. I'm going to have a lady on who is psychic, and what she will do is she will tell you the name of the person, when you're going to meet the person, how you're going to meet the person that you're going to marry. And she said, please believe it or not, having predicted over 1,000 weddings.
Wow.
So, do you think you'd want to call in on that day, or?
I would love to. Yes, the 13th.
Yeah, it is. Let me tell you what it is. It's the 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Is this
what it is.
the 13th of February?
What?
Is this the 13th of February?
Yes, it's a Valentine's Day thing.
Oh, okay.
It's
yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, and we have psychics on all the time, so
you make it sound old hat.
What?
You make it sound old hat. Oh yeah, we have psychics on all the time.
Well, no. The only thing is I say that is to pique your interest. I mean, you know, we had we don't just talk about psychics, but I can tell you, we talked about. I mean, crystal children seemed interesting because I immediately think of my nephew. Whenever I think of some of these things, like kids are different now. I mean, kids, it's kind of like what? Okay, like this is the thing that I've often wondered about is what do you do if the kid is 17, he's still watching Sesame Street? We worry if the kid. We used to worry if the kid is 16 and watches an R-rated movie. You know, so it's kind of like, which is worse, the kid who is 16 who watches the R-rated movie, you know, or the kid who is 17 and watches Sesame Street? Which is worse? You know, I don't know. I mean, that was my nephew. He watches Sesame Street. He'll watch SpongeBob and and
a lot of adults watch SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Do they watch Blue's
Clues?
Do they watch Blue's Clues? Do they watch Blue's Clues?
Well, yeah.
What about Thomas the Tank?
Yeah, he, I would think, would be not watching those and getting interest out of it anymore. But you know, my dad used to watch Gavin Rock and cartoons, so I don't know.
Right. It could be for nostalgic reasons.
Yeah.
Well, he has Asperger's, is what it is. He has Asperger's. He has Asperger's.
Gotcha.
My nephew has Asperger's. But I mean, he was really creative. Like, one time I called him on the phone, and he answered, and he goes, "Hi, Johnny, this is Van. I'm your cute little nephew." You know, so I hope that you will call back in, Holly.
Yeah.
And I hope you had a lot of fun today. I'll thank you for helping me out with the show today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, feel free to send